Another 3 points in the bag, clean sheet, but more than that, we need to talk about the standard of refereeing in the Premier League. Specifically, this game feels like the right time to talk about this, and that's because it didn't affect the result. And it wasn't just bad against one team, it was bad against both teams. If I came on here after we'd been shafted by a referee, if we'd lost points, I'd just sound like a bitter, angry fan, just making excuses up for why we'd lost a game. And I don't want something like that to be able to take away from what I'm going to say about the standard of refereeing in this country. But first though, we have to cover the game. Don't worry, my thoughts on refereeing and VAR is coming up, and I'll drop my live reactions from St James's Park to the game as well at the end. But to start with, Ipswich fans, absolute credit to their club. I'm a bit gutted that it was us that are the ones that sent them down, but it was an absolute pure moment of class from both sets of fans hearing the Sir Bobby chants ringing around the stadium. And to still be there in the last minute of the game, 3-0 down, relegated, just absolute class from their fans. Spurs fans leave after about 20 minutes at St James's Park these days, so absolute quality from the Ipswich fans. Stuck it out right to the end. And then onto the players' performances. Honestly, I don't really think we played that well this game, but no complaints. If you're winning games and you're not performing your best, that's sort of where you need to be really to achieve things. Granted, Ipswich didn't put up much of a fight, but that's, as I said in my preview, just the gulf between the Premier League and the Championship at the moment. It's sad to see, but that's just the reality. With that in mind though, we are going to need to step it up against Brighton if we want to get anything from that game next week. But on to individual player performances. Asula, when he came on, looked absolutely incredible. Very, very exciting player. Looks really, really at home out on that right wing. Very skillful, fast, eager to take on his man. I absolutely love watching him because he just does everything at 2,000 miles an hour. It's so entertaining to watch. I can't say he seems that composed, so it's still things to work on for him. But I'm buzzing for him that he got his first goal, and you just love the guy even more every time you watch him play. Miley, when he came on, he did look composed. It wasn't particularly the kind of game where he'd be struggling to be composed anyway, but he looked great, and it's always good to see Miley getting minutes. I always like to see him on the pitch. Trippier, I can't not mention Trippier. Experienced as ever. His deliveries into the box, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. He got 2 assists, just, yeah. Quality again from Trippier. It does give Eddie a bit of a dilemma knowing the experience and what Trippier brings to the team for when Lewis Hall is back, because you do kind of need to work just for the future of the club because they're both young. You do need to work Lewis Hall and Tino onto being the main fullbacks for the club, but it's so hard to not include Trippier in the team. And games like today is where he makes that even more of a problem decision for Eddie Howe. And last but not least, Tonali. Mate, every time that man touches the ball, I swear to God, his value goes up by 1 million every time. It honestly makes me laugh when I see articles linking him away for 60, 70 million. If the journalists writing these stories had even seen him play once this season, they'd start typing out the headline and then halfway through they'd be like, what am I doing? I'm an idiot. Tonali is not going anywhere for less than honestly, 120 million. And genuinely, that's conservative. And I know some neutrals might think I'm mad saying that. But honestly, as a Newcastle fan, and I'm sure most of the Newcastle fans watching will agree, if we sold Tonali tomorrow for 120 million, we would feel shortchanged. He's absolutely world class. Almost every touch of the ball, the shots, the passes, just everything is pinpoint accurate. Granted, he'll make the odd mistake here and there. Every player does, but he's just quality. Let me know in the comments what you think Tonali's worth now. I'm genuinely curious as to what everyone else thinks he's at, how much his value has increased since we signed him. But honestly, for me, I know he's not going anywhere, but if he were to go anywhere, I'd be gutted if it was anything less than 120 million. He's not going anywhere, but yeah, 120 million. Nothing less. Oh, and quickly, I nearly forgot Gordon as well. Gordon came on, got some minutes towards the end. He looked very motivated, which was good to see. He looks not fully match sharp yet, but he seemed like he had his determination back, his drive, his hunger, which has probably come from having that spell on the sidelines with Barnes performing in the way that he's been performing. And it was just really good to see Gordon giving it his all again in the way that he did when he had his really good season last season. And before we get into me losing my shit with referees, I want a quick flex on my prediction video, because when you're wrong about most things, you have to celebrate the wins. And my predictions were all bang on for this game. I said 3-0 or 3-1. Finished 3-0. I said everything would come down the right side, but it would be through Bruno and Trippier, not necessarily through the right winger, because I didn't think we'd get in behind because of Ipswich's low block. And Trippier got 2 assists. Bruno had a goal disallowed. arguably wrongly, and he had an overhead kick cleared off the line. And I said Isak goal or two, and he scored. Granted, that one's pretty much a given. I can't really take any credit for that. But yeah, I'll probably go back to getting everything wrong next week, so I'm taking the win now whilst I can. And yeah, while it was a comfortable win, there was a few moments in that game that really just hammered home a massive, massive problem that we have in the Premier League at the moment. So let's start by talking about the first yellow card for Johnson. So this was for diving. Now, at the time in the stadium, obviously I'm up in the stands, I can't really see that well. I'm sat there calling Johnson every kind of name under the sun once he's given a yellow card for diving. But now that I've seen it back, yes, he might have exaggerated the contact a little bit, but to me, it looks like there is contact there. I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can here. I think it was a harsh yellow card, but as we know, VAR can't get involved in yellow cards, which is fucking mental when you think about it. How many games this season have been essentially ruined because players have been sent off in cases where at least one of the cards wasn't a yellow card. Sometimes even both of them weren't yellow cards, but VAR can't do anything about it because they can't get involved in yellow cards. And it's not just in this game. Last week I was watching Palace versus Bournemouth. Two almost identical fouls. Richards for Palace gets booked. Alex Scott for Bournemouth gets away with it. And Alex Scott's foul was arguably the worst of the two. Both of them were already on yellow cards when they made these fouls. So Richards gets sent off, Alex Scott gets away with it. But again, I've got absolutely no affiliation to Palace whatsoever, but if anyone were to have been sent off in that game, it should have been the Bournemouth player, not the Palace player. If anything, I've probably got more of an affiliation towards Bournemouth because of the links to Eddie Howe. But I was still fuming for Palace fans. I even tweeted about it or X'd it or whatever it's called. Hardly anyone saw it because I've barely got any followers on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it yet. But if you fancy ranting about referees with me, then link is in the description. I'd like some friends to vibe and rant away with, please. But yeah, no one really talks about it because they're not a box office team, are they? It's Palace. But if that had happened to Liverpool, if that had happened to Man United, it would have been all you'd have seen on Sky Sports News for the next 2 weeks probably. And honestly, I don't know if I'm maybe seeing the past better than it was. Maybe it was always this bad, but it seems to be getting worse to me. And I think it maybe comes down to the fact that referees think now that they have this insurance of VAR. But the problem is, VAR can't do anything most of the time. And even when it can do something, it doesn't always get it right. And then you have the whole crap of clear and obvious, so it can only get involved when it's clear and obvious. But then that's not even consistent because 1 week they choose not to get involved because it's not clear and obvious. The next week they spend 5 minutes watching it from 17 different angles, slowed down with freeze frames to try and give a decision. If you have to watch it for 5 minutes, slowed down from 17 different angles with freeze frames and whatever else, it's evidently not clear and obviously wrong. So how can they bring this clear and obvious crap into some conversations, but not all conversations? If we go back to the Newcastle Ipswich game, there was the penalty call. Somehow the referee was the only person in the entire stadium that didn't see it live. And then Bruno's disallowed goal. I've seen a lot of people making the case that this was fine. It was literally just two players kind of bumped into each other. I am on the fence on this one, and I do think it's a good case for it's not clear and obvious, so you can't go against the referee's decision. But then if we go back to our game against Crystal Palace the other week, I spent 5 minutes sat inside St James's Park waiting for the referee to watch Nick Pope aerially challenge a centre-back. The referee must have watched it about 30 times, slowed down, freeze-framed. I don't think any of the Palace players even appealed for the penalty. So how can they bring the whole not clear and obvious thing in for the Newcastle Ipswich game, but then they're happy to watch Nick Pope make an aerial challenge 30 times over to determine if something's wrong with that challenge? Overall, I'm not against VAR as such. I'm pro anything that makes the decisions more accurate, but the way it's being implemented is just, it's not fit for purpose. And I just think it's insane that a multi-billion-pound league has implemented something that just feels like a half-finished like testing product. I can't get my head around it. They have the money, go and hire the best people, train them properly, and go and get the best technology. I still can't get my head around the fact that the referee has to go off the pitch to some TV at the side of the pitch. The level of technology that is available these days, part of the whole problem with VAR is the speed in which it takes to make the decisions and the pressure that the referee is under to make a fast decision. So in what world, when you need a fast decision, do you do something that reminds me of when you're in school and they used to wheel the TV out to show you a film? I'm not necessarily suggesting that the referee have his phone in his pocket and he can see the replay on his phone straight away. But some of the decisions that VAR comes to with the referee I can see better on my phone when I'm watching it on my phone. And the technology that is available nowadays, I just think something needs to be done to speed up that process, not waste time running off to a box TV at the side of the pitch that looks like it's from the 80s. With the money that's in football and the technology that's available, there has to be better than that. Anyway, ran over, have some of my reactions from St James's Park. I can't seem to find a full match replay to put alongside my reactions, and the ones on the Newcastle website that usually goes up still isn't up yet, so you're just going to have just the goals pretty much. But yeah, we'll get into that now. Overall, despite the refereeing, a great day. 3 points, clean sheet, Tonali looking world class as ever. Asula's first goal, buzzing to see it. Gordon starting to look sharper, and Ipswich fans were just fucking brilliant. If you enjoyed the win, if you're fed up with refereeing in this country, if you just like hearing me ranting about refereeing in this country, then make sure to drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell. Also, follow me on socials, please, so I'm not just ranting to myself. Link is in the description. Big one next week against Brighton. I think if we pick up a win there, I think we can start making plans for the Champions League parties. The players can't, they've got to stay focused. But for us as fans, going into this 5-game run-in, Brighton wasn't one where we were probably expecting to pick up 3 points. So if we go there and we get 3 points, I'm going to say Champions League is looking like it's on the horizon. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.